I have one word for this update: jaw-dropping. Hello again, skunkmunkee here, and today we're going to be going over 1.17, the newest update that Minecraft Live announced. And if you guys don't know what it's about caves. Yes, they are going all out with caves, and yeah, it's called Caves and Cliffs, but Cliffs is the backseat on this one. It is all about caves, and we are going to be going over all the different things that have been added that I want to tell you guys about. And I'm also going to give you guys my opinion and what I'm hoping to see out of some of them. And hopefully some of this stuff is going to end up really, really cool in the game. The first thing that they were announcing is that there will be new cave biomes. Now, they've only announced 2 cave biomes. I'm hoping that there's going to be more. But yeah, we'll start with the first one, which is LUSH caves. And as you can see here in the video, they are absolutely gorgeous. I love them, and I cannot wait to explore them. But what are the different things about the LUSH caves? Well, the very first thing that they introduced was azaleas. And azaleas are a new type of tree that grow in the caves and on the surface above the caves, which allow you to find the caves easier, because if you find one and dig straight down, you will find a LUSH cave, which is a really, really cool mechanic in my opinion. And azaleas are a really pretty tree. I know this is probably just some art just as filler right now, but they look really neat. But moving into the LUSH caves, what is the first thing that we see? It is some sort of a moss. So this moss seems to be growing on the floor. It seems to be growing on the walls. It seems to be growing on the ceiling. It is everywhere. And I'm really excited to see what you can do with this moss, because it looks amazing. And it'd be really nice to have some sort of a carpet-like thing that you can attach to walls and ceilings. Not sure what they're going to do with it, but I'm hoping it's going to be awesome. Then there are glowberries. Yes, glowberries are attached to a new form of vine, which is an also new thing. And they actually will glow. This nice orange glowing berry. And going to light up these caves really nicely. They look awesome. I love this new vine texture that they've come up with. So I'm really excited about that. Then there are these things called drip leaves. Drip leaves are growing naturally in these LUSH caves as well. And they have a really cool mechanic in that as they grow, you can stand on the top leaf, but only for a few seconds, and then it falls out from underneath of you. And this is going to add a whole new idea for entering, hidden bases, for parkour maps, for all sorts of different things. This is very exciting. Another thing right here that was announced is spore blossoms. And spore blossoms are these giant flowers that give off particles. And they look really, really neat. And I'm hoping that they give off a little bit of light too, maybe. But probably just the particles. Not really sure what they'd be for besides just decoration. Not super excited about them, but they could look pretty neat. Something else that is in this cave that was not announced, but you can kind of see it in a couple different shots that they showed, were some sort of roots. And these roots were kind of growing on the ceiling, kind of growing behind some stuff, so they weren't readily noticeable, but they look really cool. And I've always wanted something like this for caves, is that, roots are growing into the tops of the caves. And I'm really excited about the things that they're not showing. I'm hoping that there are more and more things that they're not showing that are going to be added into the game. The next section of things that were added are massive caves. Yes, these are super sized. I mean, they are ginormous. And they are going to be so much fun to fly through, to explore. And one of the coolest things they added is with these massive caves, they said they have announced a new thing called local water levels. And what this basically means is that you can have an underwater lake that's got this whole big massive area of water. I'm wondering if they might apply it to some areas that are above ground as well. That could be pretty cool to have some lakes that are up in the mountains and such. But yeah, local water levels. And they have underground waterfalls, underground lakes, so many cool things that come with this. And then dripstone. Dripstone is a form of stalactite, which is the ones that come down from the ceiling, and stalagmites, which grow up from the ground. And the ones that come down from the ceiling are actually going to drop water droplets down, and you can use them to fill up a cauldron. That is such an interesting mechanic. Not one that I'd ever really use because there's water everywhere, but it is kind of cool. And then the stalagmites are going to be able to be used as a mob grinder. They will hurt anything that falls on them, which is really cool. Very excited to see what we can come up with for different types of mob grinder farms with that. The next section is the other cave biome that was announced. So we had the lush cave. Now we have the deep dark caves, and these ones are going to be at the lowest part of the Minecraft worlds. And the deep dark is going to be a very scary place. But we have so many cool things that were shown in this, and a bunch of them weren't even mentioned. But the biggest thing is skulks. So skulk growths are these things that they kind of grow in spread, I guess. I'm not sure how that really works, but there's a few different blocks that were shown. And they have these big growth areas. And then in them we have something that is very, very important. It's called the skulk sensor. And the skulk sensor is a special block that detects movement. It detects any type of block being placed, block being broken, players moving, mobs moving, levers being hit, buttons being hit, so many different things, and sends off a redstone signal from that. And that is just going to blow the minds of all the redstone creators, because you can do so much with it that we were never able to do before. So that is going to be absolutely awesome. But I'm really excited about these blocks because they look really, really cool, and I'd love to be able to use them in some builds. But in the deep dark, we also found this right here, marble. I don't know, right here you can see on screen I'm showing it's a new type of block. It is not one that they said anything about, so I don't know what they're going to call it, but it doesn't look like anything we've seen before, but it looks really, really cool. And then candles. Yes, there are black and white candles that were shown in the deep dark. And the coolest thing about the candles, besides looking really neat, dynamic lighting. Yes, the lighting actually fluctuates around them. I don't know how that's going to work, but it is really, really cool. But the specialist thing about the deep dark and this whole thing are wardens. And wardens are the toughest non-boss mob in the game as soon as 1.17 comes out. These guys hit hard, take a lot of hits, but they are the newest one, and so therefore they got to make them really weird. They are blind. Yes, these will not see you. If you stand still, they will never see you. But they've got the same sensors as the skulk sensors, in that they will detect any sort of noise. So they're going to come after you if you start running away from them. Now, if you crouch and you move around, they can't come after you because they won't hear you. Even if you jump, nope. But if you start walking around normally and you're running, yeah, they're going to come after you. They are fast, and they will kill you in just a couple hits. So, yeah, they are really crazy. But another thing that wasn't mentioned that we saw in the video were what I'm calling warden keeps, which are areas under the underground in the deep dark, which are kind of filled with barrels and different things. And I'm guessing it's kind of like where the wardens live. And you can find a bunch of different things in there, I'm guessing. So that could be really interesting find to see what you can find, what kind of loot they're going to have down in those. The next section is a really pretty musical section. There are amethyst crystals. Yes, these amethyst crystals are actually going to be crystals that grow, and these crystals are going to grow in things called amethyst geodes, which is not just a block, but a whole cave-like system that will grow amethyst. And the cool thing about these geodes is that you cannot mine them. If you try to, you will get nothing, and the purpose of that is that you need to actually build your farms in here to get your amethyst crystals. Now, why would you want your amethyst crystals, you may ask? Well, the amethyst crystals can be broken into amethyst shards, and the shards can be crafted into telescope! Yes, the telescope is a new thing that's going to be added into the game, which basically allows you to do this. Zoom in on a special area, but it's going to have kind of a vignette, which is the darkened area outside of where you're looking. But I'm using Optifine, which allows me to do that, and you will be able to do that in the game, in vanilla, with the telescope. And that's going to be kind of cool, actually. But you can't craft telescopes with just amethyst crystal shards. You need the new ore, copper. And I know this is iron, but yes, copper is a new ore. It is going to generate in a new way. And the way that, ores right now is you just get a blob of them. Well, with copper, they're actually going to be in veins. And what is a vein? A vein is a thing where it starts here, and then it kind of goes over here, and then it goes here and there. And it kind of meanders through the stone. So that is going to be a new generation technique for copper ore. And with the copper, you're going to get some copper blocks, which are going to include the blocks, stairs, and slabs. And they have this nice, brilliant copper sheen to them. But over time, they will turn into copper aged blocks, and these are going to be greenish in color. And if you wonder what that is going to be like, think Statue of Liberty, because the Statue of Liberty, the exterior is actually made out of copper, and over time it aged until it turned green. So copper is going to start with a nice, well, copper colored orange, and then over time it's going to turn into a green. So you can tell how old the copper is that's been sitting out just by looking at how much green is in it, which is really, really neat. But another use for copper are lightning rods. Yes, lightning rods are a thing that are going to be added, and lightning rods are basically just going to attract lightning bolts during thunderstorms. One, you can keep it away from, your wooden structures, your wool structures. But two, and most importantly, you can use these things for different type of farms. So if you want a witch farm and you don't want to go to a swamp biome to make one, just make a villager breeder with a lightning rod, and when the lightning hits, it'll turn them into witches, and now all of a sudden you've got a witch farm. Also, you can use these to get charged creepers, which will give you an easier way of getting heads from mobs, which is an interesting way of doing a wither skeleton head farm. So those are some really cool things that were added with the copper. The next one is probably the one that we know the least about how it's going to actually function, but one that has been needed for so long, and they are bundles. Bundles are basically bags that you can carry around and throw stuff in, but you can throw any type of thing into one. So they're kind of like mini shulkers, but they seem to only allow one stack of things. So I don't think you're going to be able to throw like tools or armor into it, although that would be really nice to have a bundle of armor. But they're limited to like a stack, so I'm not sure how they're going to work. They could be really cool. They could be kind of lame, and I'm really hoping that they're going to be cool. The next section that was introduced completely blindsided me. Did not see this coming. All the rest of these were actually things that, I could kind of see. They'd been seen in different mods that were, well, except for the Warden. That was just something that was kind of blindsided too. But this thing, archaeology. They are adding I missed an O in there. That's archaeology. No, that's archaeology. Archaeology, you need an O right there. Archaeology to the game. What is archaeology? Well, you're going to be able to find dig sites throughout the world where they have unearthed, places where there used to be people in the world, and you can go there and dig up the stuff. And what do you need? You need a brush, and with the brush, you can slowly whittle away. It looks like dirt and gravel to find different artifacts, which, from what we've seen in the video, are diamond blocks, emerald blocks, and also these interesting thing called ceramic shards. And what the ceramic shards do is you can actually craft them into pots and then fire the pots. And I don't know what pots are going to be for. I mean, are they going to be for storage? Are they just going to be for decoration? They look really cool. And if they could add pots to like the desert temples, that'd be really neat too. Hadn't even thought about that one yet. So archaeology looks like something that they could really add a lot to. And I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with it. We're getting towards the end, and unfortunately with the caves, the part of the update that's getting the least amount of love are the cliffs, which is the mountains. We as a community voted to have mountains redone in the game, and we've been waiting a year now, and they finally said they're going to be working on it. So with those mountains, we are getting massive mountains. These things are above the cloud level. They are huge. And with the massive mountains, they're actually putting in tree lines. So the trees are going to only go up to a certain spot in them. Then there's going to be snow after that. And then there's even going to be ice on the top of some of the mountains, which looks absolutely cool. I love the view of just this mountains in this area. And I'm hoping that they've got some mountain lakes because, we said that they had the localized water levels. I'm hoping that they've got them there. But with that massive mountains, they said they're going to have snowier snow. Don't know what that means, but there's definitely snow blocks on the mountains, along with a new type of snow called powder snow. And powder snow is a trap block that when you walk across, or a mob walks across, you actually fall through it. So that could be a really interesting thing, because pathfinding, it's going to look like a block for mobs. I think we'll be able to use that in a lot of our farms. And along with that, we are going to be getting goats. And the goats are a new mob that are going to be added into the mountain areas. And I don't know what they're going to be for. I do know that they can jump really high, like 4 blocks, and they can headbutt things. So it'd be interesting to see how people use that in, I don't know if you can use it in farms or not. I wonder if we'll be able to shear them for their wool. I think that they should be able to, but it'd be nice if they had their own unique drop, like maybe a horn that you could do something with. Please, Mojang, make goats more interesting. And then this year, we voted on a new mob to be added, and that is the glow squid. And this has so much potential. I'm really, really hoping that they do something really cool with it. I'm not really getting my hopes up too high, because it seems like they're just going to put squids in the game that have a new texture that kind of glows like the eyes of Enderman or things like that. It'd be so neat if these actually gave off light. That would be so cool. And it'd be really cool if they had a drop that was a glow ink that you could use for crafting glowing blocks. That would be awesome. We need more glowing blocks in the game. Probably one of the most interesting things that is being added, though, in 1.17 is not the tropical fish. No, it is the axolotl. And the axolotl is actually going to be a type of predator fish, which is going to be found in the LUSH caves. And the axolotl is going to be a friend of the player. You can use a bucket to scoop these things up and take them with you. And they are so ugly and cute at the same time. I don't know how they accomplished that, but these things are really, really neat. And the biggest thing about the axolotl is that you're actually going to be able to release them into the water. They become your friend, and they will attack the things around you. They'll attack fish, they'll attack squid, they'll attack guardians, they'll attack elder guardians, they're going to attack drowned, everything to defend the player, which is so cool. And if they ever get hit, they're just going to play dead. They're going to roll over on their side and just sit there and then regenerate and then get right back in the battle, which is so cool. And it was even mentioned that they might be able to regenerate the player. Wow. Can you imagine going into battle in the water against, underwater temple and being able to have like 10 of these things with you? You'd be unstoppable. That's going to be absolutely amazing. So that is the majority of things that were announced in the Caves and Cliffs update. Obviously, some of those things were ones that I just saw in the video and were not specifically announced, but I'm really hoping that they put in the game. And I'm hoping that they put even more. They should have so many more cave biomes. There are so many possibilities out there. I really hope that they can find time to put so many more in there. I hope they do a great job with the glow squid, with the goats, and I think that there's just so much potential. I'm hoping that they really pull through and just blow us out of the water. I cannot wait for the snapshot updates. Pay attention to this channel, because I will be having videos whenever they do that. Now, that was announced that there's going to be one more release of 1.16. That will be 1.16.4, which is probably just going to have some bug fixes in it. But then they're going to start doing their snapshots, and those are going to be awesome. But if you guys enjoyed today's video, please leave a like, consider subscribing, turn on those notifications. You can follow me on Twitter, you can join my Discord channel, and hope to see you guys in those snapshot videos. Until next time.